Hey guys, what's up? This is Mel, and I'm here to talk about The Walking Dead, episode 610, titled The New World, which premiered Sunday, February 21st, 2016 on AMC. And guys, I am super excited about this episode, especially, I watched also The Talking Dead afterwards, and that had me laughing like crazy. So let's just get right into it, 10-minute clock, and let's begin. So what is something new that we learned in this episode? So timeline-wise, this episode takes place 2 months after the previous episode where they had that episode where they took down all those walkers. Originally, I thought it was 2 weeks since then, but Talking Dead confirmed that it was 2 months between 6:09 and 6:10. So glad to have that clarified for sure. Also, this episode marks the first appearance of Paul Monroe, aka Jesus, and he is introduced to us through Rick and Daryl while they're on a supply run. He literally runs into Rick, ends up stealing their food truck they managed to find, only to find them running after the truck, stealing it back, only to find him in another fight with them, and eventually they lose the food truck and they bring a tied up Jesus back to Alexandria while he's knocked out. And I gotta say, when it comes to him, I do not trust him, although he did show some very impressive fight skills. It seems like his movements were very sharp, they were very precise, and had a lot of power thrown into them. So it looked like he did not need a weapon at all. He could just take a person down just through his skills alone. Against a walker, that's another issue, since you kind of need a weapon to do that, unless he's going to punch through their skull or something. Doubtful. But anyways, meeting Jesus and all that while on a supply run with Rick and Daryl. So yeah, their run does not really go off as they had started, so all because of him. And they're all set to do it again tomorrow, which is crazy. Okay, another part of the episode showed segments between Carl and Enid having their little walks in the woods, sitting near that hollowed out tree of theirs that they got really close inside previous episode when a walker herd came by. So they seem to be hunkered down around that tree with like a box of their things, reading comics together and stuff like that. And apparently that's what Enid does with her day. She spends the day with Carl in the woods, as if that's their living room, essentially. And apparently that answers Maggie's question as where has Enid been going all day, since Maggie has no clue where she goes, just that Enid says, oh, nowhere. Turns out nowhere is in the woods with Carl. So that was interesting. They end up getting into a fight, though. Enid decides she doesn't want to go out in the woods anymore. And then they fight over killing a walker. Carl doesn't want her to. Enid wants to put her down, but then Carl just tells her to go back to town, go back home. So they did not end the episode on good terms, it seems. So there's a little bit of a tiff going on in there. And the walker that they end up running into ties into the storyline that we see with Spencer and Michonne. So Michonne is on guard duty and she sees someone walking in the woods with a shovel. She follows them and turns out to be Spencer. He's out there on a mission. He has to do something before he can return back home. Turns out, Michonne finds out that Spencer is actually looking for Deanna, the walker version of him. He even explains when they finally see sights of her, which is the walker that Carl and Enid ran into. Spencer says during one of his patrols he thought he saw her in the woods, and he wanted to go out there and kind of end his mother's suffering, I guess you can say. So with Michonne's help, Spencer kills Walker mom, and together they bury her, and they go back home together, back to town. It seems like a weight has been lifted off of Spencer, now realizing that he has no blood family anymore. But what happened with Michonne, it seems to have drawn him closer into the group and everything like that. And also, the reason why Carl didn't let Enid kill the walker is because he figured that if anyone was going to kill her, then it would be Spencer, her own son, having to put her out of her own misery, kind of like what he did to his mom back at the prison, like what Daryl did with Merle. And yeah, so it's definitely a good thing that they touched upon later on too. And yeah, that's pretty much the major points of this episode. So moving on, what is the most shocking moment of the episode, which I did not mention, was that at the end of the day, when Rick and Michonne return home, vaguely talking about how their day was. They end up holding hands, move straight to kissing, move straight to making out, move straight to them having sex. And it's like, yes, Rashon, awesome. I was not expecting it at all. It's like, sure, you're hoping with all the buildup you're seeing that something's going to happen. You just don't expect all 3 points to be met in one moment. And then it gets wrecked by Jesus barging in. So it's just like annoying. But essentially, Rashon, and when Rashon happened, I couldn't stop. I was excited because it's since season 3? So it's like been 3 years now waiting for this moment to happen. And yeah, I was not disappointed for sure. It was like awesome. Next part, top 3 favorite moments. First one has to be Rick and Daryl. Their whole adventure together. Seeing them work together as a unit, seeing them work well together as a unit was really great. Seeing how they talk about the differing views on how they should be looking for new recruits opposed to not. They seem to have switched sides on that particular subject. And bringing in Jesus and finding and failing to bring the food truck in. I really like that the two of them finally got to go on a supply run, got to have some scenes together, because for the first half of the season, we haven't had any scenes between them. And it was really great to see that partnership again. Next favorite moment, Rick and Michonne, for sure. I already mentioned it. Why? In the shocking moments, just the fact that it became official, that they were now a thing, that they actually have romantic feelings towards each other. And it's like, yes, that was perfect. And so why not? Third favorite moment has to be Carl and Michonne. Basically, that porch scene. Carl is on the porch at night holding his baby sister in his arms as they're both looking up at the stars, and he's basically trying to teach her the constellations and all that, which is pretty cute. And then Michonne comes in, and she slowly brings up the fact that Carl was in the woods when he didn't need to be. And she brings up the fact that Carl had led Walker mom Deanna towards where Michonne and Spencer were, and she was kind of telling him, you run or you kill a Walker. You don't play with them, essentially, is what she thinks Carl did. But Carl explains that Carl explains he wasn't going to kill Deanna, because if anyone was going to kill her, it should be someone that loved her. So he didn't want to rob Spencer of that. And since he already saw Spencer and Michonne earlier on in the woods, he kind of figured that's why they were out there. So he led the Walker to them. But what I really liked was that Carl told Michonne that he would do it for her. So what was the quote? Let me get to the quote. Yeah, he said, "I would do it for you." And basically saying if Michonne was ever a Walker, then Carl would end her suffering because he loved her. Basically, what I liked about the moment was the fact stating that he was telling her in his own way that he loved her, he viewed her as family, and it would hurt deeply if he ever lost her, because beforehand he was talking about how it should be someone who loved the person who got turned into a Walker, be the one to put them down if they happen to know them. So I just really like it. It was a very close moment for them. It seemed like a dawning and moving moment for Michonne, and they got to hug. I was like, yes, that was like perfect. Love it. Next moment, top 3 peeved moments. I just have 2. First one, Jesus interrupting Rashon. I mean, first, how did he even get in there, let alone walk in and interrupt them? It's like he got a bit of a flash show right there, but still, it's like, you don't do that, man. So next, while they're sleeping too. Next peeved moment was that the food truck drowned in the lake. I mean, after all that trouble and all that searching that Rick and Daryl went through in this episode and found a huge food score right there, they still came home with nothing. So it's just like a failed mission right there. And I don't count them bringing Jesus back as a success. Their sole purpose was to go get supplies. They had it, they lost it, fail. You didn't even get to bring home the pop he promised Denise. So it was just kind of like, ugh, oh no. So what moment will I remember most about this episode? Rick and Michonne. Enough said. So there's that. Random questions. Moving on to that. First one. How did Jesus evade Daryl, who was on guard duty? I mean, of course, how did Jesus get into the house without anyone finding out? I mean, Carl's also in there. Rick and Michonne have instincts enough. So how did Jesus avoid any possible noise entering the house until he got to that bedroom? And then how did he avoid Daryl, who was on watch, or whoever else was on watch with him? It's just, he's like some sneaky, I want to swear, but I don't, yeah. So that's one question. Another question is that we saw, well, I just want to put out there, but are Denise and Tara an official thing? I mean, they did kiss before the whole Walker herd invaded the town. And then Tara kind of gave Denise the, kind of gave her the choice of whether they're actually going to try things between them, or if that was meant to be like a do something before you die type ploy. But then when you see Rick and Daryl bringing in Jesus for medical help, it's Denise and Tara who are greeting them. So I'm just wondering, have they made things official? Are they trying things out between them? I want to know, because I definitely want to see how they are together, especially after that whole kiss, because we did see Tara freaking out over the fact that the wolf took Denise. And in this episode, we kind of saw Denise wanting to do something special for Tara in the sense of getting her pop for her road trip. So I thought it was pretty cute, and it was definitely a very cool way for them to put that little notion in there without flashing all big words or big signs about it. I thought it was pretty cool, for sure. And it'd be nice to see those two being happy together, for sure. So moving on, predictions. Based off the quick promo that I saw for 6/11, it looks like Jesus is taking out our group on a little adventure. And it could be a trap. Not sure about that. But based on the sneak peek that you get to see on Talking Dead, it looks like Maggie is trying to better their crops or their produce, although she's not seeing results like she wants to. Glenn finds her there, tries to help her out, and then they see in the distance Denise running out and calling for backup in the form of Abraham, since he's just approaching. So it ends there. So it may be that they find out that Jesus is not there. Maybe. Or maybe that Daryl was knocked out by Jesus, because he does have those mad fighting skills. So that's it. So what did you guys think of the episode? Is it what you expected? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. And if you guys want, I do have a Tumblr page. It's not very detailed for The Walking Dead, but it is for other shows. But if you want to check out for Walking Dead specifically, link for that is down below. And that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. Hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the episode. But until then, this is Mel, wishing you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. Bye for now.